A very good evening to you all. Thank you for joining us on the English News Bulletin. We trust you've had a fulfilling and restful day. Let's see what is in store for tonight's bulletin. With just a few hours to go for the swearing ceremony of the President of the Republic on Sunday, different heads of state and government have been arriving in the country to attend. The Ministry of Health and Africa Quantitative Sciences launched the Next Generation Researcher Fellowship to reinforce research in this sector. On the international scene, a US-based researcher recently traveled to the Democratic Republic of Congo to learn more about the ongoing conflicts in that nation between the country's army and M23 rebels. My name is Olive Nete. It's always a pleasure to have your company. Welcome to the English News in Details. Now, with just a few hours to go for the swearing ceremony of the President of the Republic on Sunday, different heads of state and government have been arriving in the country to attend. For example, President Salva Kiir of South Sudan was received at the Kigali International Airport by retired General James Kabarebe, the Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. The President of Guinea-Bissau, His Excellency Umaru Sissoco Embalo, was received by the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Yusuf Murangwa, while the President Emerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe was met by Francis Gatare, the CEO of the Rwanda Development Board. The Prime Minister of Senegal, Ousmane Sonko, also arrived in Kigali on Saturday and was received by Claudette Irere, the Minister of State in the Ministry of Education. The transitional President of Gabon, His Excellency Brice Clotaire Oligui Nguema, was welcomed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe. The Prime Minister of Sao Tome and Principe, Patrice Emery Travoada, was received by Minister Yusuf Murangwa, while the President of Guinea, General Mamadi Doumbouya, was received by Minister Vincent Biruta. Moving ahead, the Ministry of Health and Africa Quantitative Sciences launched the Next Gen Researcher Fellowship to reinforce research in this sector. The Ministry of Health urges students and health personnel to maximize the skills given for developing solutions addressing issues in the health sector. Prince Manzi with more.
The Africa Quantitative Sciences initiated this project with the aim of training medical students and health personnel. Hinda Ruto, the CEO of this institute, elaborates on the use of technology in these pieces of training.
So far, this first cohort of the Next Gen Researcher Fellowship, we have 120 healthcare providers. Some of them are still in school, but 95% of them are providing care in hospitals and health facilities in Rwanda. So we are using AI in the back end. So at the front end, it has been simplified to a point where anyone really with minimum digital skill can use AI to generate insight and inform and start taking decision that are based on evidence.
Some of the students participating in this program found that the skills to be given also assist in addressing issues that affect citizens at large abruptly.
COVID
came and people wondered about its origin, but as for the researcher, he does not have to wonder the origin. He rather makes studies and inform more on a certain case. So this program is the solution to the health sector.
It will help us in assisting patients with proper treatment and value our work. We are going to maximize the skills given.
The Minister of State in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Ivan Butera, reiterates that this program will be beneficial and urges those said to be upskilled to tackle their research on emerging issues in the Rwandan health sector.
nk'uko mwabibonye u Rwanda rumaze gutera intambwe nini mu kwita ku buzima bw'abanyarwanda.
Rwanda has taken a big step in developing the health of citizens, and through research, we are aware of the sectors to tackle on more than others because they are even more effective and productive. It is good to find people, including the youth, being interested. It is our responsibility to provide such pieces of training. These people are to put in mind issues still found in our health sector, starting in their communities. This project is expected to contribute also to improving the quality of medical services. It is expected that about 120 will be trained.
Now to agriculture matters, the annual Africa Food Systems Forum, the world's largest summit on agriculture and food systems on the continent, is scheduled for the 2nd to 6th September in Kigali and will bring together over 5,000 participants. This year's forum is being held under the theme Innovate, Accelerate and Scale, delivering food systems transformation in a digital and climate era, and brings together stakeholders in African agriculture to take practical action in moving African food systems forward. Earlier today, RB's Sam Kalisa sat down with Honorable Haile Mariam Desalegn, former Prime Minister of Ethiopia and chair of the Africa Food Systems Forum Partner Group for insights on transforming Africa's food systems, as well as the upcoming summit. Take a look.
First of all, let me begin by thanking the government and people of Rwanda for hosting this premium global forum. It's not only continental, but we have more than 180 countries that are showing up for this forum. And it's not the first time for Rwanda. It's, I think, several times that has been conducted. And our home office is Rwanda, and thank you for that. I think the main challenge we are facing these days is geopolitical tension that has culminated into, supply chain disruptions, like, for example, the war we see globally. But the most daunting challenge we have is the climate change. Every one of us are passing through this process, and even in Kigali you can see this is the hottest time, which were not used to be the case earlier. So you can imagine when the production system passes through these heat waves in southern and eastern Africa, you see that it is intolerable for natural crop production.
Right.
And so traditionally we can't move in this way, and we have to do something about it in an innovative way. And that's why the forum is a very important forum to look into these challenges we have. Besides, you can see Africa is becoming more younger and younger. There is huge population growth that is taking place, and it's very much accelerated, and you can see unrests in every part of the globe, and mainly in developing countries. You have seen that what happened in Bangladesh. You see changes that are taking place in West Africa, where a number of riots and street actions are taking place. You see what happened in Nairobi very recently, in our Eastern Africa regions, and the threats from the young people to governments in every corner of the continent. So all this shows that we have to match our production system, the entire food system, addressing the challenges of jobless growth and bring about employment to the young people. And that needs an accelerated, transformative food system in place.
Right.
So we have daunting challenge, as I mentioned, and we need to be prepared for that and address those issues.
We have a lot of challenges. You mentioned many of them: climate change, geopolitical tensions all over the African continent, and many more. But as we are trying to get Africa to food security, as we're trying to make sure that our people are food secure, no one is starving, where do we start? Do we start from addressing the political challenges that are hindering us from moving ahead? Do we start by dealing with the climate? Because it seems that we have a lot of problems that are coming at the same time that we need to address urgently, but where do we specifically start?
I think this has to be seen like a circular thing, and if you want to break the circle, you can't beat only in one place.
Right.
You have to beat in every corner, and then you'll get the susceptible part of that circular thing, and you break. So it's not only one solution that fits everyone.
Yeah.
There are myriads of solutions that we have to think about.
Right.
Like, for example, if you have to address this issue, you have to think in a systemic way. That means in a food system, the entire food system, not only in the production, but you have to look into the processing. You have to look into the marketing. You have to look into the quality issues of that production. So I think it is an intervention that calls for every value chain has to be addressed.
Right.
In order to break the cycle. So it's a vicious cycle, and we have to break it and change into virtuous cycle.
Right.
That calls for hitting in every corner to break that vicious cycle.
Absolutely. And in what ways can regional collaboration strengthen Africa's efforts to transform its food systems?
I think regional cooperation is much more important these days than ever. One is we have to trade with each other.
Yeah.
The regime, I think Africans has decided, especially our leaders currently has decided a landmark decision to have an African continental free trade agreement and area. And this is a landmark decision, has to be implemented. Expeditious implementation is very important.
Yeah.
So if you see back the Comprehensive African Agriculture Development Program, CADIP, which has been decided some 23 or 24 years ago, the implementation, when you see it, only few countries has achieved. Rwanda is one of the striking example.
Yeah.
But that kind of sluggish performance doesn't warranty the current challenges we are in.
Right.
So we need to expedite it. We need to have both proper governance system, which is very essential.
Right.
We need to utilize the potential we have, the youth, and their entrepreneurial capacity, and their digital friendship, and their innovative capacity, which can be utilized to unlock the potential we have in our continent.
Yeah.
So I think we need to have a proper governance system. We need to have capacity to deliver,
right.
Including an inclusive process, including our women and young people. In most African agriculture, women are very active participants in the production system and the marketing system,
right.
Starting from the yard, house yard, where they do have high value productions. And that has to be more modernized, and their capacity has to be utilized.
Right.
So it should be somehow transformed into an inclusive process than just only male dominated production system we have.
Right.
So I think an inclusive process is one of the things we have to look into in order to bring this big change to happen.
Right.
So I think Africa is in a very good position at this time because there are a number of best practices that can be emulated from one to the other.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we have to do.
How do we deal with global threats against our food systems and prosperity in general for the agriculture system and production, as you were saying, some of which we do not have control over? For example, when the COVID-19 hit, we were all shocked, and it seemed that like we are hitting the wall and we have nowhere to go. But how do we get ourselves ready for such global shocks that even when they come, Africa stays stable?
I think the first thing is we have to understand our comparative advantage and also competitive edge. That's very important.
Yeah.
Some of the things we can't control by our own, but there are areas we can control, yeah, in ourselves. If we want to be food sovereign and self-sufficient, then we can control that.
Yeah.
The first thing is we have to make our system work. We have a number of systemic bottlenecks, which is not related directly to the global threats we are facing now. It has a daunting impact, but nonetheless, we have also a way to escape some of it. At least we shouldn't be begging food to our people.
Yeah.
We can do that. because 60% of global arable cultivable land is in Africa.
Yeah.
So we haven't utilized that properly. That doesn't mean we have to clear forests, we have to, somehow degrade our ecosystem and also lose our biodiversity, but keeping our biodiversity intact and keeping our forests still active and increasing in size and in quality. Keeping our natural environment intact, we can produce by intensifying the agriculture itself.
Right.
Africa has all the minerals required, including to transit into green energy.
Right.
So, but we are not processing at home. We are just selling it raw. So from the production side, we can intensify our production, especially when we have that huge amount of youth population who are friendly, educated, and also can have precision, modern agriculture through the technology we have to use. So we have to utilize technology, digitize our system, and also our production system has to go further. So in any case, every human being eats food.
Yeah.
So that cannot change.
Yes.
Even though the technology changes.
Yeah.
So we have to utilize that capacity. It's a growing population, and Africa in size, if you see, yesterday we have been discussing about the map of Africa, and it is put in the map of the global map, a small continent.
Yeah.
But it is combined, that map which is downsized is equivalent to many countries combined.
Yeah.
So that even that map is not showing the reality in Africa. But we have to show the reality by ourselves. We have to stand by our own foot first. We have to cooperate together. We have to integrate in terms of infrastructure.
Yeah.
The good thing, for example, the Eastern Africa corridor, integration in railways, integration in roads, integration in power interconnectedness, integration in trade and tourism, and all those are very important for trading agricultural produce we produce. And some of the countries are very much endowed with ecosystem that can produce for the global community. That we can have hubs like food baskets.
Yeah.
There are many countries who can be global food baskets in Africa. So I think it is only using technology, know-how, building our capacity to deliver, and also bringing about those interconnectedness in terms of infrastructure, which is very essential. And then utilize our extractive sector properly for development. That can help us.
Thank you very much, sir. And I couldn't find a better way to end this conversation. Thank you very much for your time. Unless you have any departing.
I'm good.
All right.
Yes. But finally, I think I have a call for all Rwandese and as well as Africans and the global community to come and attend and be part of the forum which is coming.
Yeah.
It is organized from September the 2nd to the 6th in Rwanda, Kigali, which is our host country.
Yeah.
And it's a home and away process, and now it has come to the home. And we thank the government and people of Rwanda for this. But I invite at this juncture for all of you who are interested in our food systems, please come and join us. And it will be a transformative forum.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And as His Excellency started saying, as the African continent, let's do what we can, let's do what is in our hands and in our power with the intention of transforming Africa. And as he said, as he is optimistic, I am as well optimistic that we'll get there. Thank you very much. Keep it to RwandaTV.
Thank you, Sam Kalisa, for the details. Now to Health Matters. To today's health segment, in the fast-paced world of emergency medicine, where every second counts, in this segment we take you inside the accident and emergency department at the CHUK. Dr. Uwamahoro Doris Lorette, the head of the department, shares an exclusive look at the challenges and triumphs for the team faces daily as they navigate the high-stakes environment of saving lives.
The service of accident and emergency, you would understand that we receive all emergencies from the country, including trauma, including people coming from home, seeking for medical care. So we do receive very sick patients to whom, if you don't act quickly, they may die. We do receive patients who are treated as outpatient, and after the service they can go home. And of course, most of the patients we admit and we offer medical care. So we have a triage system, and it has various informations. So there are patients coming in with very alarming vital signs or unresponsive. So those patients need immediate care, or what we call immediate resuscitation. So these patients are attended to immediately and receive, all the care depending on the primary assessment we have conducted. So there are other patients who are very sick, cannot wait longer. These are categorized as orange patients. So we have red, orange, yellow, and green. So orange patients, these are very critical patients that can wait a little bit but also need emergent care. And the rest of the patients, the ones falling under yellow and green, they can wait a little bit. I would say 60% of the patients we do receive are trauma patients, and 40% other illnesses. So we have head trauma patients, we have blunt chest trauma patients, abdominal trauma, and limb fractures. So those are the most patients we do receive, in this department. So people would think that healthcare professionals in the emergency department are heartless, which is very wrong. Actually, we are very emotional people because we lose patients every day. We save lives every day. So the challenge is when you see these very critical patients, and sometimes they are more than the healthcare professionals. So we get sometimes overwhelmed with very sick patients. So we get, I wouldn't call it an abuse per se, but people tend to be very emotional towards their patient. And for us, it's very hard to control, taking care of the sick ones and their caretakers. So I would advise them to consult, first of all, but also to be informed that when you seek emergency care, after we attend to you and take your vital signs, you can be categorized differently. And this means sometimes we can tell you to wait before you receive, the care you're seeking for. So patients or people coming to emergency services would also need to understand that sometimes waiting is possible.
At this department at CHUK, every day is a race against time, as you have heard. Dr. Uwamahoro Doris shares how her team handles the heavy load of caring for patients in critical condition and how they manage to balance the stress of the job with their personal lives. Take a look.
Combining work in emergency department and family is not easy. I would say when you're starting, it's very challenging because you don't know yet how to adapt or accommodate the two situations. So it's very hard on the family side because you can work longer shifts. you can work more hours compared to others in other services. But I think with a good communication, with a good family support, you end up balancing work and family life. So we do have in the department, we have requested someone to help us mentally, because we are very emotional people and we get touched whenever we lose a life. So it's not easy. So we have time to sit and talk, free ourselves. Sometimes we go on a trip as a department, and then we relax and we enjoy life as it is.
Let us take a short break and then we'll come back with the international news. And on behalf of the technical and news production team, we sincerely thank you for being part of today's broadcast. Have a restful weekend. Take care and goodbye.